Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're heading way down into the ocean's twilight zone to talk about some really fascinating creatures. The lantern sharks.
That's the family at Maparidae, small sharks, usually under a meter, living deep all over the world.
And they're famous for glowing, right? Bioluminescence. So our mission today is to figure out how they control that light. It's apparently quite unique, and understand their life in the deep, especially the velvet belly lantern shark.
Exactly. The sources we've looked at show a level of physiological complexity that's pretty surprising for these deep-sea animals. It challenges some older ideas.
Okay, let's get into it. But just before we do, this deep dive is brought to you by embersilk.com, right? The bioluminescence. What makes the glow of this specific shark, Edmopterus spinax, so, well, different from other creatures that make their own light?
It boils down to this, a dual switch mechanism. You see, most glowing animals, their light is controlled just by nerves.
Okay.
But the lantern shark uses both hormones and neurotransmitters. That's the unique part. It has two ways to control its photocytes, the light cells.
Huh. Hormones and nerves. So, like, one starts the light and the other tweaks it.
That's a good way to put it. Hormones like melatonin, yes, the sleep ones seem to trigger a slow, steady glow. The thinking is that's for camouflage.
Camouflage? How?
It's called counter-illumination. They match the faint light coming down from above so they don't cast a shadow. Basically, they become invisible from below.
Clever. And the other hormone, you mentioned prolactin.
Right, prolactin causes a faster, shorter flash, maybe for signaling, talking to each other. We're not entirely sure on that one.
So melatonin is like stealth mode, prolactin is like a signal flare.
Sorta, yeah. And then you have the nervous system stepping in. Neurotransmitters like GABA can actually inhibit the light, like an off switch.
Stop it from glowing when it doesn't want to.
Exactly.
Right.
And then nitric oxide, NO, seems to act like a dimmer switch, fine-tuning the light intensity based on the hormone signals. It suggests really precise control.
Wow, and presumably their eyes are adapted to see all this.
Oh, absolutely. They've got high densities of rod cells for low light, and even a translucent spot on their upper eyelid, maybe to help them gauge their own light output. Vision and light production definitely evolve together.
Okay, that light control is incredibly sophisticated.
Mm-hmm.
But what powers all this? What are these sharks actually eating down there? Let's shift from light to lunch.
Well, despite researchers looking at them in very different places, Norway, off Portugal, the Mediterranean, Rockall Trough, their stomachs tell a pretty consistent story.
Oh, yeah. What's the main course?
Krill.
Yeah.
Specifically, a species called Meganictophanes norvegica, the northern krill. That's a big part of their diet.
Okay.
But there's also an ontogenetic shift, meaning their diet changes as they grow.
Like the little ones eat krill.
And as they get bigger, they start taking larger prey, small fish, squid, that sort of thing.
Okay, so far so standard. Krill, then fish.
Yeah.
But I read something about an isotopic paradox. What's that about?
Yeah.
If they eat similar things everywhere.
Ah, yes. This is where it gets really interesting. When you analyze their muscle tissue using stable isotopes, which tells you about their long-term diet and position in the food web, you find significant differences between locations.
Wait, even though the stomach contents look similar? How does that work?
That's the paradox. It seems the big variations in their isotopic niche aren't primarily because they're eating fundamentally different types of prey.
Okay, so what is causing it?
It reflects differences in the environmental baseline. The actual nutrient cycling, the base of the food web, is different in these locations.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Take the Atlantic sites, like off Portugal or the Rockall Trough. They show a lot of isotopic diversity. It suggests the sharks there might be more opportunistic, maybe moving around more, possibly even migrating between these areas, tapping into different nutrient sources, maybe linked to upwelling.
Right, more dynamic environment.
Exactly. But then you look at more enclosed or stable areas, like the Mediterranean, which is quite nutrient-poor oligotrophic, or the Norwegian fjords with their distinct topography.
What do you see there?
You see smaller, tighter isotopic niches. It suggests these populations are more resident, relying on a more constrained local food web.
So it's not just what they eat, but where that food ultimately comes from. The whole local ecosystem's chemical signature.
Precisely. It's a fascinating layer of complexity, and we see similar dynamics elsewhere off Tasmania. Another lantern shark, E. baxteri, heavily preys on orange roughy, showing how these deep-sea food webs can have really specific, intense interactions.
So pulling this all together for, the intellectually curious listener, we're looking at an animal that's way more complex than you might expect. It's got this unique dual control system for its light.
Which is incredibly sophisticated, using both hormones and nerves.
And its feeding strategy, while seemingly consistent day to day, reveals these huge underlying differences based entirely on the deep sea environment it lives in.
It really highlights how much the local ecosystem shapes the long-term ecology of a species, even one that seems to eat similar things across its range.
And you mentioned something really intriguing earlier, that this chemical light control might have evolved from older systems.
That's right. There's a suggestion it actually evolved from pathways originally used for controlling skin pigmentation, for color change, in their shallower water ancestors. A repurposing of old biology for a new, deep-sea function.
Wow. Which leaves us, and you, with a final thought to chew on. If lantern sharks repurposed color change mechanisms to create precisely controlled light, what other incredible complex adaptations are hidden in the deep ocean, built on biological foundations we might already partly understand, but used in ways we haven't even imagined yet?